The midday sun scorched the dusty market square, where Zainab knelt beside a pile of discarded crates, her hands sifting through broken fruit and torn packaging. Her scarf, frayed at the edges, clung to her sweat-soaked forehead. At 19, her life was a cycle of scavenging for scraps to sell, all to keep her younger sister, Noor, in school. Her mismatched sandals sank into the dirt as she worked, ignoring the jeers from passing vendors. Her fingers, calloused but quick, plucked out a cracked ceramic bowl and a bundle of copper wire. She stuffed them into a worn sack, her eyes scanning for anything else of value. The market buzzed around her, shoppers haggling, children laughing. But Zainab was invisible to them, just another shadow in the chaos. She didn't care. Noon was approaching, and the school's payment deadline loomed. Noor's education was her anchor, the one thing she refused to let slip. Across the square, a sleek silver motorcycle idled near a tea stall. The rider, a woman in her 30s named Sana, watched Zainab through tinted sunglasses. Dressed in a tailored jacket, Sana was a tech entrepreneur who'd returned to her hometown to scout talent for her startup. Something about Zainab's relentless focus, the way she moved with purpose despite the heat, caught her eye. Sana sipped her tea, intrigued, as Zainab wiped her brow and hurried toward the scrap dealer's stall. At the stall, Zainab dumped her findings on a rusted scale. The dealer, a grizzled man named Rafiq, squinted at the haul. "This won't cut it," he muttered, tossing the bowl aside. "You need more weight for decent cash." Zainab's chest tightened. "Please, it's for my sister's fees. Today's the last day." Rafiq sighed, sliding her a few crumpled notes, half what she needed. She clenched the money, her mind racing. There was one more spot, a back alley where restaurants tossed their recyclables. She had 40 minutes. Sana, now curious, followed on foot, keeping her distance. Zainab darted through the market, her sandals slapping against the cracked pavement. In the alley, she dove into piles of plastic bottles and aluminum cans, her movements swift and desperate. A waiter shouted at her to leave, but she ignored him, her hands a blur. She thought of Noor, sitting in class, unaware of the fight Zainab waged daily. Sana, leaning against a wall, watched in silence. There was something raw in Zainab's determination, a fire that reminded Sana of her own struggles years ago. With her sack full, Zainab sprinted back to Rafiq. The scale tipped in her favor this time, and he handed her just enough. She whispered a quick thanks to the sky and ran toward the school, her heart pounding. Sana trailed behind, her motorcycle purring softly. At the school gate, Zainab handed over the money, her hands trembling. The clerk stamped a receipt, and relief flooded her face. As she turned to leave, her eyes briefly met Sana's across the street. Zainab froze, sensing the woman's gaze, but Sana only nodded and rode off. The next day, Zainab returned to the market, her sack slung over her shoulder. Rent was due, and Noor needed books. She told her sister she worked at a tailor's shop, a lie to shield her from the truth. But the market was different today. The usual piles of scrap were gone, swept clean. Panic crept in. Then the silver motorcycle pulled up beside her. Sana removed her sunglasses. "Looking for something?" she asked, her voice calm but piercing. Zainab stepped back, wary. "Who are you?" Sana smiled faintly. "Someone who sees potential where others see trash. You've got grit. I could use that." She handed Zainab a plain card with a phone number. "Call me when you're ready for something bigger." Before Zainab could respond, Sana sped off, leaving dust in her wake. Zainab stared at the card, torn between suspicion and curiosity. She tucked it into her pocket and resumed her search, though her mind kept drifting to the woman's words. That evening, Noor showed Zainab her latest drawing, a vibrant sketch of their old village. Zainab hugged her tightly, whispering, "You'll go far, Noor." Later, alone, she studied the card again. Doubt battled hope, but by morning, she stood at a payphone, dialing the number. Sana answered on the first ring. "I knew you'd call. Meet me at the old warehouse on 7th Street. Wear something clean." Zainab arrived at the address, her best shalwar kameez slightly faded but neat. The warehouse was a modern hub, buzzing with young coders and designers. Sana greeted her, her presence commanding yet warm. "I run a tech cooperative," she explained. "We need someone to manage logistics, tracking supplies, organizing deliveries. No degree required, just a sharp mind. You in?" Zainab hesitated. "Why me? I'm nobody." Sana leaned forward. "You're the only one I've seen fight like the world owes you nothing. That's not nobody." Zainab took the job, starting the next day. The work was grueling, counting boxes, logging entries, but her quick mind adapted fast. A coworker, Tariq, a tech lead with a chip on his shoulder, scoffed at her presence. Charity case, he muttered to another colleague, Layla, who shrugged but watched Zainab closely. By the end of the week, Layla was impressed. She's good, she admitted to Tariq, who only smirked. Weeks passed, and Zainab's life shifted. She bought Noor new shoes, claiming they were secondhand. She stopped scavenging, her hands no longer stained with dirt. One day, while cross-checking inventory, Zainab noticed a discrepancy. Missing supplies worth thousands. She flagged it to Layla, who escalated it to Sana. An audit revealed Tariq had been skimming materials for a side hustle. Sana called Zainab to her office. "You caught what my team missed," she said, her eyes sharp. "You're not just here to count boxes anymore." Tariq was fired, but not quietly. He cornered Zainab in the warehouse, his voice low and venomous. "Think you're clever? You'll crash soon." Zainab stood firm. "I'm not here to play games. I'm here for my sister." Tariq stormed off, but the next day, a note appeared in Zainab's locker. "Go back to the market." She crumpled it, her resolve hardening. Sana promoted Zainab to oversee a new supply chain project. Nervous but determined, Zainab dove in, learning software and pitching ideas to streamline operations. At a team meeting, she suggested a tracking system to prevent theft, drawing from her days dodging shady dealers. The room, initially skeptical, nodded in approval. Sana grinned. "Told you she's different." Zainab's world brightened. She and Noor moved to a small but sturdy apartment. Noor's grades soared, and Zainab's confidence grew. Sana started inviting her to brainstorming sessions, their conversations spilling into late evenings over tea.